Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. A couple of weeks ago I grabbed Jeff Randall's Auto Miner Extractor, AME, uh, and I really liked the shape that he came up with for this thing. Uh, the aesthetics were quite pleasing, and it's quite functional as well. Basically, when you pop out of this thing, it's an exterior cockpit, so you're on the outside. Make sure I'm, oops, in out of God mode. You can pull right up to your auto miners and come out here and grab the loot, get back in and keep going. And so I've used it for a couple days. I tend to being creative more than playing the game, but I really like this design, and I fell off the front there one time and had a hell of a time getting back up. But anyway, I really like this design, and I was in the need of a capital ship to move my stuff around, and so I stole his design. Basically rebuilt the thing using capital ship blocks pretty much from the ground up. These are the two that I came up with. This is actually the hardened steel version of the bigger one. I've got a regular steel version that's textured more like this one. It just uses the regular steel texture. This one uses a hardened steel texture. But otherwise it's identical. So basically a couple of issues. Well, and just show you the interior. He's got a constructor and pretty much everything you need. A couple of fridges in here. You can get to the cockpit from inside as well. Just click right there and you'll be in the cockpit. Warp drive, everything you need in here. But of course with a small vessel you just got a little 3x3 door here, and I needed something to drive hovercraft up into, so this is a 9x5 I think. Yeah, 9x5 door. So I had to expand the width of the craft as well, and anytime you expand the width you also have to expand the height to get the slope to work out. This is on a 22.5 degree slope, so you have to move 2 blocks in this direction to move 1 block in that direction. So I had to move it, I had to make it taller and wider by several blocks to be able to get a hangar bay in there. Some of that's probably taken up on like this platform here. If we look at, yeah, he's got like 1 block here on that platform. You see he's got these little details here, the dot and the dot dot. This one's got 3 because it's a taller ship. And again, if you make it taller, you got to make it twice as wider if you're going to keep that same slope. So it's 2 blocks longer that way, at least 1 block longer, taller overall. So I was able to pretty much keep the same ship shape. Some of it's open to interpretation. I copied a lot of his texturing as well, so you can thank him for what looks good and blame me for what looks bad on here. Let's see, let's go ahead and let me finish with the outside here. Of course, making it taller added, a couple of rows of blocks in here, which makes it a little bit awkward, so I lost some of the side profile shaping. Also had to deal with thrusters. He had the rear thrusters are the ones that push you backwards, up here in the center, and I wasn't able to do that, so I had to come up with some kind of thruster pods on the outsides to handle that. And of course I put a SV bay in the front as well. So let's go ahead and take a look inside. This is the SV bay. Gravity generators up here. There's room for a offline protection here. The new shield block in Alpha 10 is, I think, 3 by 3 by 3 for capital vessels and bases. So that wouldn't fit up here. I threw a couple cargo boxes up here, but they're not terribly practical. You might have to jump up to reach it when you're on the ground. Of course, you can get to them from the P menu. There's cargo boxes kind of all over the place here. So you could get rid of those if you're worried about the CPU, which is here. This one is just under the 7,500 limit. Cargo boxes take 10 or something CPU, so you can get rid of these two if you wanted to add more fuel tanks or something like that, which also use CPU. This is Alpha 10. They remodeled the O2 tanks and fuel tanks. So I'm kind of seeing these for the first time as well. So this is the SV bay, pretty sizable. The vessel itself is probably considered small for a capital vessel, but it's big enough to get a couple of SVs in here. I think I had two smaller SVs and one wider SV, so I had 3 SVs parked up there, and about 7 or 8 hovercraft parked down here. A couple little ones you can park in this area, and it'll hold Matic or any of the ones I've created, bigger ones. Fine. I squeezed, I think, 7 in here at one time. So let me get back out of God mode and we'll do a walk around here. I managed to find a place just to stick some windows in here. I like being able to look out, but and down here is access to the ground level. A little bit of lighting there. I got a turret under the chin here as well, but this lighting shows you where these ramps are. Right beside the landing gear there. Also, above, that's the cockpit area and upper lounge area. We'll go up there and take a look in a minute, but that overlooks this bay. They also remodeled the O2 station and the med station. I think it's advanced constructor got remodeled as well. Rest of the stuff, it's got a repair bay here in the middle. Repair station over here, but otherwise, and the armor locker. I got an armor locker on each side. I tend to do kind of symmetrical layouts, but if there's something like over there is the repair bay controller, over here is a repair station for your tools and whatnot. But otherwise there's a med bay and oxygen on either side. The ceiling up here, one thing, these are the grow plots. The farm is up here, and you can't retexture those, so you have to kind of account for whatever type of grow plot you use. If you use a wooden grow plot, you're going to have wooden slats up here. I used the steel ones so that it had a usable texture in this setup. I'm not even sure you can use wooden ones on CVs, but same thing goes for bases. Bases and CVs share a lot of stuff, but not everything. So let's go up the elevator here. This is the med bay level. I just basically I found this area. It's funny, when I was putting the ship together, I was doing all the essential exterior blocks and marking them so I didn't knock a hole in the wall anywhere, and then kind of looked to see what kind of interior room I had, and I mostly had that center section we're getting ready to go to, and I poked a hole in the wall and found this whole area here. It came as a little bit of a surprise to me, so I just stuck the generators, one on each side. These you can get to, but you know, it's just mostly for looks, for decoration. These extra cargo pods. You got decontamination shower and commode in here. This railing is just to keep you from getting too hot or radiation. Is it radiation? Yeah. No, that's just heat. So keep you from getting there in there, but you do have access to it. This is the farm area I was talking about a second ago. You've got 4 9x9 plots. There's the core. Actually, if you, I was going to say, if you shut out that light, you could get to it, but you just have to take this block here out to get to the core. I tend to play single player mode. I'm not a big multiplayer guy, so that may not be an appropriate place for it if you end up taking more damage than I typically do. So you might go find somewhere else to put it. But I think for the most part it's fine. Through closet in here to use as a medical storage bay, and of course you got your fridge. Same thing on the other side. The non-perishables you can stick in there. This side's also got a bathroom, but I put a kitchen area over here, a little, for role play value mostly, just a little bunk and dinette and kitchen table. So let's go back up into here. This is kind of the lounge area. You get your TV and bar and a couple of couches to sit on. If you don't like the shrubbery or the plants that I picked, put your own in here. And of course this looks down over the SV bay mostly, and you can see the warp core there. Fuel tanks. Moving on up, this is the cockpit, and you access it through this hole in the floor, so you might have to watch your step a little bit. You can fall down in here, but that was kind of the best use of the room, the space I could think of. Same thing over here in the corner. You can fall through there. This block takes up this space, so I couldn't put a floor on that particular spot. There was no room to put a floor there. And then this leads out over the to the flight deck. Another exterior flight deck, and this is basically in the inside these 4 corners here is like 7 by 7. The room up here, and of course you can overhang it. You could put a 9 by 9 or something up here if you wanted to. Would fit. Got a cannon turret up top. Got these little sentry guns. I think I got 8 of them on this thing. Kind of parked all the way around here. And then I got a couple miniguns on the sides and the chin turret we saw before. Some more sentries. Sentries should be good for taking care of any critters on the ground, but also they'll shoot at drones coming in as well. So again, this thing wasn't really built for combat. It was built so that I could haul my ships around from planet to planet. But your mileage may vary. One problem with taking a SB design, you see SB guns are typically long and horizontal, whereas CVs are, for the ground attack anyways, are mostly these turrets. So you got to find a 3x3 spot to stick a turret on, which was pretty tough to do when you're dealing with these slopes like this. The top happened to have a flat spot I could stick on. I just kind of made room on the sides for them. So that's the big one. One more thing before I leave here. If you're looking for more room for fuel or oxygen or whatever tanks, there's some room in these engine pods. Anywhere you see this scaffolding in here is really just spare room. I set it here so it's easy to find in God mode. You can take these out and put whatever you want in here, fuel tanks or cargo boxes or oxygen or RCS or whatever you need. So those have still got some room. Basically anywhere you see scaffolding blocks is free to use. It'll be hidden, but you can still access it from the P menu. The front pods I think had room as well. They do on the smaller ship, but probably not so much on this one. Yeah, these are pretty much occupied by the engines and whatnot. So this is the bigger ship. After I completed that, I wanted a, this is level 15, I think. Yeah. Yeah, level 15. I wanted a level 10 ship. This one is SH2. The SH is ship hauler. The 2, it's a class 2, and the S on the end is steel. So CV, level 10, ship hauler, class 2, steel. This one is CV, level 15. It's a class 3 and hardened steel, this particular one. I've also got a regular steel version. Oops. So turn that off. So when I went to make the smaller one, I went back closer to the dimensions of the autominer extractor, the original. So that one uses a 9x7 rear hangar door. This one uses a 9x5. I'm sorry. Let me look at them again. This uses 9x5. This uses 7x5. So it's 2 blocks narrower than that one is. The front hangar is smaller as well. So on this one, 7x5. This one's a 5x3. So pretty small hangar door on the front of this thing. You can still fit smaller SVs through there. But so this one, if you look here, there's 3 blocks here between these kind of funky blocks. Here there's only 1 block between these funky blocks. So this one is 2 blocks taller than this one, but it's really deceptive. I stole one of the blocks back by moving this landing gear down on the body one and dropping the floor down, the rear hangar floor. So the you look in here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks tall in this rear hanger. And this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks tall in the rear hanger. So same height, but it's not as wide. And it's got this ramp in the middle. I wanted to get some of the shaping back. This one's pretty flat all the way across the bottom. This one's got a little waist, and more than one way, I guess. A waist of space, but also like a hip waist. Kind of sucked in, so it's a little more shapely. If I finish looking at the exterior, the pods on the front, you notice this one's got a turret up front. This one didn't have room for it because it's not as tall. So I had to redesign the engine pods. The engines, these are the large level 15 engines. These are level 10 or something. So I had to use 4 of these in place of 1 of these all the way around. But it's big enough to still hold the large ones. If you wanted to, if you like this shape better but wanted to use bigger engines, you could pop these 4 out and replace it with one large one. Same thing. Let's see, where's my? Yeah, same thing here for the up thrust. Same thing here for the side to side. Same thing here for the forward thrust. So it's actually quite deceiving, the amount of changes that I did. You notice this little sentry is right up against the slope. This one's got 1 block between the sentry and the slope, so that's where the width got sucked up. So this one is 1 block on either side less wide than that one is. Got a smaller door in the back, but a lot of other stuff got shuffled around. Like I said, I did move the floor down relative to where it would have been in order to get this height back. But I did, it's 2 blocks not as tall, 2 blocks shorter. I managed to save it here, but if you go up here in the farm area, this is only 2 blocks tall, and the other ship is 3 blocks tall. So I lost a block in height here, and also it's only 2 sets of 9 instead of 4 sets of 9 grow plots. So some of the width went there. I'll come back here in a second. This is a similar setup to the other ship, but different. I think the elevator in the other ship is moved way up here somewhere, but some of these are actually exterior blocks. That's why, like that one there is exterior block out here. So I couldn't make, this is as much room as I could make basically in here. So like I said, similar setup. It doesn't have a repair bay. I think that was level 15 is why I left that out. So this ship is level 10. And I just left the repair station out. I think you could put the repair station back in. I think it's level 10. So the biggest difference though is obviously the width of this hangar. Length is similar and the height is the same, but I put this ramp in here because of the waist where I sucked up the bottom of the ship. So you can put hovercraft up here, and this is another area I found after kind of getting the major work done. I found this extra area down here that I was able to put in the med bay down here. So there's a little kitchenette, bathroom, shower, bunk down here. So interestingly, this space does not exist in the big ship over there, the bigger ship. This glass was really just kind of an indication, so you're not bumping into the warp drive up there. When you're bringing hovercraft in here, you know, you've only got 2 blocks, so a relatively smaller hovercraft fit. That would be 6 hovercraft blocks, but there's still plenty of room to get hovercraft up here. These stairs are pretty much the same as the big ship. They just come out in a different place. It's only got 1 landing gear up front instead of 2. This area with the gravity generator got moved from up here in the hangar bay back here to the from the SV bay back to the HV bay, because this one in the big ship, this area is 5 blocks tall, and here it's only 3 blocks tall. So smaller SVs for in here. You'll notice some of these scaffolding here. I did have fuel tanks there, and because of all the additional engines required on here, they took up a lot of the CPU. So you can see I'm at 7,400 out of 75. The other one's 7,460 or something, so it's bumping up against it. But with all the fuel tanks I had in here, I had to take some out. But if you look back here, there's more of these blocks. So this is all usable space if you want to put additional tanks or RCS or whatever in here. And then in these side engine pods, all this room is open. So there's room to stick whatever you want to out here as well. I have some just really aesthetic changes, little detail differences, and kind of what I had to do to get this laid out differently than the bigger ship. So let's go up the elevator. Also, the bigger ship has access to the flight deck here. There's a shutter door. This one didn't have room for it. Also, there wasn't room for the med bay up here, so this is I've still got the generators up here. Basically, if you're standing on the steps, you're fine. As soon as you step off of there, actually there's a little bit of a lip there that kind of keeps you from stepping off. I mean, you can jump and get off it, but yeah, if you get any closer, you start taking heat. If you look up here. So I threw a shower in here just in case you get overheated. You can come and take a shower if you forgot to turn off the generators or whatever. So the other side looks exactly like that. Well, go take a look at it. Yeah, same thing. So these elevators in the bigger ship were like up here instead of back halfway. So I don't have the stairs that I have in the bigger ship that go down into those side rooms. There's no real reason to go in there except to repair the generator or something. And like I said, I've only got 1 set of grow plots here instead of 2. And the height, this is 2 blocks tall instead of 3. This area changed a little bit. So the lounge is now over here. Don't really have a bar up here anymore. I've moved the TV over here and it's facing backwards. Dope. So, and also this is a little different. You don't come up through a hole in the floor, you can just walk right up onto the floor. I still got these, nope, I managed to fill that hole up, but it's with a block that's also shared with outside, and it looks like the texturing. Oh, you know what? I'll have to look at that from below. One thing I'll show you with, if I can get out of here. Let me take a look. No, I guess it just got built with whatever I used in here. But one issue with Alpha 10 is sometimes your blocks, this block in particular, gets flipped around. It's not supposed to be that way. Same thing on the other side. This block got flipped around when I logged back in and spawned this ship in here. It's the same block. This one is like a quarter cut off the corner. And so I'm a little bit up in the air on whether or not to fix it, because then they may fix the block in the next update of Alpha 10, and then it'll be rotated wrong again. So not sure what to do with that yet. This one in the back engine bays has got, you can see all this is empty space here, so plenty of room to add additional tanks or cargo boxes or whatever. That's landing gear. That's why it's textured differently, so be sure not to. I think this is, if you take any of these blocks out, you'll be looking at the air outside, so don't do that, but you do have all this room to expand. I think that's mostly it. The landing pad out here is basically the same size as that one. You don't have quite as much room to hang over as you do over there, but the marked off area itself is basically the same size. This ship is actually one block longer than that ship. It's not as wide and it's not as tall, but it's one block longer. And like I said, it uses a pretty small 5x3 door up here, so you can't bring in very big SVs. Also, I lost the turrets. There's no chin turret. There's no turrets on the sides here. I still got the turret on top, but aside from that, it's just got these sentries. So even less combat ability than the bigger one over there. One thing, I'd probably do another thing on it, another video, but this is one of the first builds I ever made. I thought it looked like a kind of an Airstream camper, so I called it the camper, but just threw the detector on the roof there. And it's a pretty crappy little ship. No frills. It's got a clone chamber and a medic bay. A medic station, you don't need both. But at the time I was, like I said, it's one of my first builds ever. You can walk right on top of the generator and catch yourself on fire. But anyway, I thought this might make a good platform just to make a, maybe I'll just do it in this video. I'm not sure at the time. I may cut it out into a separate one. So I recently remodeled the thing. It's pretty gaudy, but so this is kind of the same thing. I dropped the height down so that this would fit up in the smaller CV. Oops. But surprise, let's go camping. It's got I think 6 minigun turrets on it. Yeah, 6 minigun turrets and these Gatling guns up front. I left the harvester on here just in case you need to go out and chop down some trees, but it's mostly just to you could get a bunch of these, or one, really cheap to build, and just carry that thing around with you, and wherever you land, if you're going to be there a little while, you just pull this thing out of the back and set them up on the perimeter somewhere, and they'll shoot down any drones that come by. Well, I'll just leave it. So this is a level, I think 7. Yeah. MDU stands for Mobile Defense Unit. That's what this thing is named. The Camper Mobile Defense Unit, it's made out of steel. This one is a level 10, the Camper Mobile Defense Unit, hardened steel. Mostly I just changed it to hardened steel, and I changed some of the coloring, and I added these little engine protector grills on it. I think the guns are maybe all the same. No, I added a rocket launcher at level 10. So I swapped out one of the miniguns for a rocket launcher. And then this one is level 20. It's got an artillery cannon on it, and a rocket launcher, and 2 plasma turrets. So it's only got 2 miniguns left. The rest are either plasma turret, artillery turret, or rocket launcher. This one's a little bit wider and I think longer than the others. So it's got a little different interior. Still pretty gaudy, but Hokie fans probably would be pleased. It's got 2 constructors, oxygen, armor locker, pretty much everything you need. And the placement of a lot of this stuff in these smaller ships is kind of crucial. This, if you look here, well, before I do that, you see I've got oxygen everywhere in here, but this is a airtight cargo thing, and it's blocking that hole right there. So if you don't have that, you lose an oxygen. Put that back before I forget. So the small one, this one is airtight, this one is airtight, these are not. So I really like the looks of this one, but it's not airtight, and this one is. That drove my choices on a lot of this stuff. Same thing for, yeah, mostly these are not airtight, so anywhere you have a hover engine, you got to have something over it that's covering it up. Also, in the early days, and even today, I guess, sometimes I fall out of my craft and it's 3 meters off the ground and you don't have a jetpack. It's tough to get back in, so I put this thing here so you can just get right to the cockpit. Oops. Oh, yeah, I'm just inside now. So that's what that little trap door right there is for. And all of this is cargo box. If we do, yeah, so that's all cargo extensions. So, you know, it's meant to be rolled out and parked somewhere, and when it's on the ground, nothing's going to be shooting at the bottom anyway. But that's all the, I think in this one, that might be all ammo. Let me see. Yeah, this is an ammo controller. So you got 5,600 ammo for this one. The rest of them, it's a ore and wood controller, and then I have a separate ammo controller up front for like 1,000 ammo or something. Oops. Yeah, 1125, which should be plenty of ammo to roll out. Now this one is actually one I worked on today. It's basically, I started out with this one and made it a miner. So it's still got a turret on either side, a rocket launcher up top. It's got a drone hatch, which is a little bit redundant with the back door being that close, but what the heck. And it's got 6 drills on it. One thing I noticed today, and I don't know if this has always been the case or if it's new with Alpha 10, when you're running this thing around, let's see if I got everything going on. Well, let me just drive it. So if you watch power usage over here, I'm at 11% just sitting here. And when I'm moving around, if I'm just doing one direction, I'm at 30%. If I do 2 directions, I'm at 45. If I do 2 directions plus, well, you can't really go down in a hovercraft, so 45. But if I'm using the drills, look at that, just sitting here, just activating the drills, I'm at 94%. And I don't know if they use that much power in 9.6. I didn't pay attention enough to know. But I'm going to have to throw another generator in this thing for drilling. See, I've also got some additional thrust here. If I go into dig mode, you saw me pick up a little bit. Those big hover thrusters there are only enabled when you're in dig mode or max lift mode, and that gives you a natural tilt down, tilt forward to help you get into the ground here. But let's turn that off. Also, so defend mode is on right now, and you see all the turrets are out. But if I enable dig mode, it automatically stows the turrets away if you're going to be drilling, so you don't they're not in the way of getting in and out of the hole. Turn that off, but you're in defend mode, so the turrets come back out. So basically I built this thing today or yesterday, or both. So it's not quite done yet, but get up there. So I may or may not post any or all of these or publish them to the workshop. It's more of a lark than anything else. But that's my camper series. I just came back to show the this camper hovercraft parked in the this is the smaller of the 2 CVs. So you can see you'd have room for 2 of those things in here with plenty of walkway in between. Parked right up against the railing, so you still got room to scoot it over a little bit. Plenty of room to fit that thing in here. So basically, if you are building your base or have this ship parked anywhere for any extended period of time, you just carry one of these things around with you, roll it out the back, and park it outside to take care of any wandering drones. So anyway, that's what I wanted to. That's why I went over there to start with. So I thought I'd come back and add that. Thanks again.